Well, without further ado, let's go to a very special guest, constitutional rights expert, conservative political, social, and economic strategist, and a South Texas-based physician and hospital administrator. Dr. Lawrence Gelman is our guest. Dr. Gelman, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Let's talk about bending the Constitution a little bit here. We've had a number of presidents, Republican and Democrat alike, over the years that have tried to, and have successfully, sadly, expanded the use of executive powers, executive privileges, things like this. And this president seems to have no compunction of trying to circumvent the Congress, and questions are raised at this point. Will he circumvent them again with regard to going into Syria like he did Libya? Your thoughts?
Well, the president, we have to distinguish between executive power and executive orders. What he's doing is making executive orders. The provision for executive orders do not exist in the Constitution. The executive power is nothing other than the constitutional obligation to execute laws passed, make sure that they are properly executed, laws that are passed by the House and the Senate. And so he has no authority to do anything that he's doing, and by acting outside of his constitutional authority, he should be impeached, which can be done by the House of Representatives, which, by the way, is run by Republicans, as an illustrative of an earlier comment of yours as to the feckless nature of both Democrats and Republicans, that you don't hear much of anything coming out of our useless Congress.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have the Weeper of the House, John Boehner, who is talking revenue instead of cutting taxes, and at the same time saying, well, we're going to stop Obamacare, but we won't vote to defund it. It seemed absolutely worthless with regard to protecting the Constitution.
Well, he is, and I might mention something, that the word budget does not exist in the Constitution. The only thing that exists in the Constitution are ways of getting revenue for the national defense and promotion of the common good. All revenue bills are to arise in the House, and when was the last time that happened? And so it was fascinating to me, and distressingly so, is here you have a House of Representatives in the hands of the loyal opposition that is obligated by the Constitution both to create the means of revenue, but not a budget, and also that they, as a checks and balance, are to prevent the other branches of the government, whether it is judiciary or the executive, from straying outside their particularly enumerated powers. I think John Boehner may very well be the worst Speaker of the House that has ever existed.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I mean, it's pretty bad when you think that you'd like to have Tip O'Neill come back from the grave. I mean, when was it the last time we had anybody with some cojones who was Speaker of the House, with the exception perhaps Nancy Pelosi, because she got Obamacare passed and said you got to vote for it before you know what's in it. I mean, at least I'm not saluting her for what she did. I think it's an albatross on the American economy. But she got something done.
Well, if you think getting something done is the way the government is supposed to function.
No, I don't. But what I'm saying, though, is that she had gumption to do something. I'm not agreeing with what she did, but it doesn't seem like Boehner has the impetus to get off his butt.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is a non-entity. Basically, she was just following the marching orders of Barack Obama and the Democrat National Party. So I wouldn't give her too much credit. And also, she had insurmountable majorities in the House, Senate, and, of course, holding the presidency. So, she was just a pawn in the game, so I wouldn't give her too much credit. However, we can give a great deal of discredit to Boehner, who does have the authority and obligation for the House to perform its constitutional functions, and he's not doing it. We have an imperial presidency. We no longer have a constitutional government. Basically, the country is divided among two sets of, how might you say, noble classes. Noble is probably not a good term for them, who are conflicting. And right now, the king is Barack Obama. Before that, the king was George Bush. But we have these these nobles, which are the president, and then the Congress, which are just nothing more than nobles of a feudal regime, and you have the priestly class, which is the judiciary. And we no longer have a constitutional government of checks and balances. We now have a feudal system with an aristocracy headed by a president, and in this case, that's Barack Obama. And he functions exactly as any king in medieval Europe used to function.
You know, I was interviewed former Congressman Bob O'Prey of Colorado just yesterday, and you know, he talked about the I word, impeachment, and the fact that even if it did come up, this Congress is not going to get it through Harry Reid's Senate to even deal with it. If this Congress had the gumption to bring it up, so how do the American people deal with this? I mean, we're 4 weeks away from Obamacare and these state exchanges starting. We're 4 weeks away from another continuing resolution and the budget ceiling again, or the debt ceiling, I should say. So how do we, the American people, do something about this?
Well, a couple of things. One is impeachment and conviction are two different things. The impeachment process is done by the House of Representatives, and they can impeach the president. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be found guilty. The trial is held by the Senate and is presided by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And so he can be impeached. Bill Clinton was impeached, but he wasn't convicted. And so whether the Senate convicts or not, the real key is the impeachment process, and the House is in charge of that, and they could easily impeach him. Now, the other thing I want to discuss a little about the budget.
Hold that thought. We're going to a hard break. I got to pay the bills. We'll be right back with Dr. Lawrence Gelman. Stay with us, friends. And welcome back to the show, friends. Dr. Lawrence Gelman is our guest right now. He's a constitutional rights expert. We're talking about the president's overreach, executive powers that are being used. And, you know, Doc, I have to say, in light of the fact that the president is looking potentially at Thursday for strikes on Syria without a vote at this point from Congress is alarming.
Well, what's most alarming is where's Congress?
They're on recess.
Oh, excuse me, they're on vacation? Okay, the country's going to war, and so they're too busy to come back and do something. They're on vacation. Well, I guess that's a good excuse.
Yep.
They can convene anytime they want to. Boehner can convene the Congress. They can convene. So I don't know what that means. They're on recess. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, here's my issue with it, and this is what I really want us to get down to is what executive authority does the president have? Because the media would make us believe that this president, I mean, they went all against the last president, saying that he'd overextended his authorities on some issues, and he did on a number of issues. But my point is, where are they now? Why are they asking the same question you or I are asking right now? Where's Congress on this? Why hasn't the president gotten approval before he decided to go and do something like this?
No, that's an easy answer. We don't have an independent press in the United States. The press in the United States is the same as the press in China, Russia, or any other dictatorship. It's owned by the government. All the press does is regurgitate what the government wants them to say. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in our system of public education. Once again, no surprise. I don't know why we look at these institutions as somehow being independent and holding up the integrity of the nation. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is we have elected representatives that are bound by the Constitution to abide by the obligations and duties expressly listed within the Constitution. They fail to do so is evidence of the fact that we no longer have a constitutional government. We have a dictatorship. We have a fascist tyranny. And that I think is the point to get across to whenever possible, the people of the nation, that we do not have a legitimate government. We have an illegal government that is and is behaving illegally.
All right. Well, we've got 2 minutes. What's the solution to it?
Well, the solution is not going to happen. The solution is that you have elected officials do their obligation. So, I mean, there's your solution, but they're not going to do it. So then how do you get them to do their obligation? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think it's possible. They're really all the same, you know, Tweedledee, Tweedledum. So I'm not quite sure where and let me tell you something else. Half of the nation is perfectly in accordance with what this president is doing. They want him to be king, and I would bet that if you had a poll and asked, would you like to make Barack Obama permanent president, I would imagine that between 40 and 55% of the population would agree to doing that.
I think about 25%, but okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It depends where. Well, not in New York City.
Well, no, but where I live, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have a good answer for that.
All right. Well, Dr. Gelman, we appreciate you giving us some of your time today. And, I haven't quite given up hope on it, as I'm concerned that you may have, but I appreciate you opining at least on the executive power side of it, sir. Thank you for being with us.